Welcome back to Investment Literacy, the investing habits. And if you have not yet subscribed to Investment Literacy, please subscribe to show your support. Hence, we have come to part 6, petrodollar systems. And before that, I would like to do a recap on petrodollars. In 1974, US signed an agreement with Saudi Arabia to sell oil in US dollars. And soon after that, other oil producing country start to sell oil in US dollar as well. And with that, all the country, including importing and exporting country, would have to use US dollar in trade and keep US dollar in their reserve and subsequently use US dollars in other international trades. And one important thing about international trade is the payment systems. In the modern world, the payment system is done through a bank settlements where the bank will credit and debit the bank accounts of the buyer and seller to complete the trade. So in international trade settlements, it is in US dollars. With that payment systems, it is controlled by US. Hence, America have power in sanctions to block or allow the transactions. Banks that do not comply to the US sanctions will face penalty and actions. And BNP Paribas has been fined by the US Department of Justice in May 2015 for almost 9 billion due to allowing sanctions country, Sudan, Iran, and Cuba to transact. And they were sentenced to 5 years probation, forfeit $8.8 billion and $540 million. So how does petrodollar system work? Basically, it works similar to the gold standards. US dollar is inversely correlated to oil price. And what does it mean is when oil price increase, the value of dollar reduce or devalue. So that means more dollar is required to buy the same quantity of oil. And when oil reduce in price, that means the values of the dollars increases. And this is ideal situation for US because a dollar that have more value will be more appealing for other people to earn dollars, and it will attract people to sell goods, and it will attract immigrants, it attract talents to earn US dollars. A currency that devalues greatly in a very short period of time is deemed as unstable currencies, and it could create a havoc in trades because people will have to revise the amount to charge in that currency to reflect the value of that particular currencies. And so if it is devalued greatly, then that would mean people have to constantly revise up the charge in terms of the amount of currency to charge. And so it may create the situations where people have concerns if they accept a currency that is continue to devalue. They worry that after accepting the currency, will they be able to use the same currency to buy other things or buy less goods and services? And so people may lose faith in a particular currency if they couldn't use it to buy or trade for other goods and services. And this is the relationship between the dollars and oil. So it forms the basic principle for interactions and interventions if required by the US into the oil markets. And it could cause a very harsh situations, bloodshed and war. And we're going to talk about it in just a minute later. And so the US governments have two main tasks on US dollars. First is to increase and maintain the use of US dollars in oil transactions and international trades. And second is to maintain low oil price so that it reflects the value of US dollars. So, and with higher value, people are more willing and it's more attractive to earn US dollars. And the two at some point does come into contradictions. And when it does, the priority is to increase the use of US dollars in oil transactions and international trades. Because if nobody uses US dollars in oil transactions or international trades, then no matter what is the price in terms of US dollar on oil or other products in the international trades, it will become meaningless because nobody will care because they are not using US dollar to trade anymore. And so this is the top priority in the US government, followed by uphold the value of US dollars. And to do that, US is actively mending in the oil markets. And how will they do so is through the oil business. And they have several company which is called Seven Sister Company, which is now known as Shell, ExxonMobil, and Chevron's. And in 1963, this company controlled 86% of oil produced by the OPEC country. OPEC was established in 1960s in Iraq to control oil productions and oil price in response to unilateral price cuts by multinational oil companies. And Venezuela's in the Middle East country is unhappy to accept oil, a lower oil price. And that's why they initiated the OPEC. OPEC countries had a 50-50 profit sharing with multinational companies. This is because they rely on these oil companies for oil exploration technologies and oil refinery technologies until 1970 when Libya increased profit sharing to 58. The OPEC starts to demand for more profit sharing. Then US have been trying to keep the oil price low as one of their targets to reflect and hold the US dollar value. And in 1947 to 1967, oil price in US dollar increased at less than 2% per year. And because of that, OPEC countries are very poor and the real income is lack. And US making a lot of money and as well as the oil company. And in 1971, President Richard Nixon suspended US dollar convertibility to gold, and because of that, the OPEC demanded gold instead of US dollars, and subsequently adjusted the oil price upwards due to US dollar devaluation relative to gold. In 1973, OPEC cut oil production, increased oil price, and imposed oil embargo on US for supporting Israel in Yom Kippur War. And this led to oil crisis in 1973 and global recessions because the developed countries have shortage of oil. And because of this, the US is very clear that they need the oil badly, and that led to the following year in 1974 signing an agreement between America and Saudi Arabia to sell oil in US dollar, and that is the price control on the oil. And of course, US does have other strategies and methods in managing with the oil markets as well, and Iran is one of the example. 1953, America and British instituted embargo on Iranian oil and military coup out elected Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. And this is because Mossadegh initiated to nationalize oil company and to remove Western power out from Iran. And once after they ousted Mr. Mohammad Mossadegh, the US reinstalled Pahlavi dynasties. But in 1979, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi was overthrown. This is because Iran supported Arab country in 1973 on oil embargo, which caused oil price to shoot up from $3 to $12 per barrel of oil, and this upset the America and UK, and with that they planned to end Pahlavi dynasties. And after the end of Pahlavi dynasty, Khomeini came in power. However, Khomeini rejected Western power, and because of that, in 1980, US supported Iraq to invade Iran. And Iraq, it was a good candidate to do the job because Iraq and Libya did not participate in the oil embargo against the US. And this is a direct intervention. And there is a new trade emerged that jeopardized the US dollar securities. In 1999, the euro system is formed together with the euro dollar and European central banks. As you can see, euro dollar come with a set of systems and European central banks that is for payments and settlements purpose. So a currency used to come in one set. And in year 2000, presidents of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, began to sell oil in euro instead of US dollars. And several oil producing countries stated they will follow suit. Later, Iraq was invaded by US, UK, Australia, and Poland in year 2003 and was taken down in less than a month. Subsequently, all oil switched back to US dollars. And US successful in retaining the supremacy, and UK assisted US in doing so is because the fall of EU and Euro does not affect UK at all. Indeed, UK is well prepared for it. This is because UK is using pound sterling instead of Euro. So Euro become a rival for pound sterling in the European country. Imagine if the EU and the Euro collapse. So people in the European country will first come in their mind is the pound sterling and the US dollars. So if EU and Euro were to collapse, the pound will be benefited. And more so, UK assisted EU, so they will have no financial obligations toward EU if the EU's collapse. After they get rid of Iraq, and now Russia sell oil in euro, and that's keep US busy again as it undermine the US supremacy. Russia is the world's third largest oil producer and they sell oil in US dollars, thus pose a threat to US dollars and set a very bad precedent that might result in other oil producing countries to follow. And for sure, US will not allow that to happen, and because of that, they embarked on military expansions into European countries and led to war at the cost of European countries in 2014 and 2022. And US sanctions on oil is basically now no one can buy oil from Russia, and instead they will have to buy oil from US and pay in US dollar at a higher price. And more so, the European country imported a lot of military equipment and supply from America and pay in US dollars because of the propaganda that Russia posed a threat in the stabilities of the European country. So the objective in reducing euro-dollar in transaction has been very successful. The next challenge is China, because being the largest food producers and exporter, China accepting euro-dollar in trade instead of US dollar again does pose a threat to US dollars, and sooner or later it will be dealt with. And by eliminating EU trading partners who accept euro dollar, all the euro will be paralyzed, and soon nobody use euro for international trade and international reserve. By then, euro will have no value outside of EU, and US dollars will continue its supremacies and to rule the world. In summary, forcing US with the world currency to use euro in trade is somewhat sinful, downgrades the American status, jeopardizes the power as world leaders and supremacies. And imagine how the world will look at US in accepting Europe in trade. Other countries will learn and start accepting euro in trades and reduce US dollars in international trades, followed by reducing US dollar reserve, flush out US dollars into the markets. And when all the central banks in the world start dumping US dollars from their reserve, it will cause a US dollar to devalue greatly, and it will trigger a series of sequential events in reversing out US dollar as world currency and international reserve, which eventually will cause a US economy to collapse together with its US dollars. And so US will not hesitate to go harsh and go to war. Prior to euro, the America buy and sell only in US dollar, as everything is priced in US dollars. And US have get used to buy things with printed money. However, to trade in euro would means the American now would have to earn euro instead of printing it. And it is totally a different game, not in favor of US. And so euro poses a direct threat to the US dollars and challenges the America exorbitance privilege. And with that, any trading partner that accepts euro is a threat to America and become a target to be eliminated or diminished. And if you could recall from my previous video that money does have certain characteristics, and if a currency fails to preserve characteristics of money, it will be abandoned. Thank you.